All right. So today I'm joined by Sean Dollinger, CEO of LQR House, a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ that's disrupting the alcohol e-commerce space. Sean's entrepreneurial journey started early, launching his first delivery business as a teenager. And since then, he's built multiple companies across e-commerce tech and wellness. Not only is he driving growth for D2C spirit brands, but he's also launching proprietary brands like Swole Tequila. Beyond business, Sean's passionate about wellness, personal performance, and bringing innovation into highly competitive industries. Sean, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having us on. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for being here. Jumping straight in, for those who don't know, what or how did you originally get into the agency business?
Yeah, I've been in marketplaces my whole life. It's been about 24, 25 years of building out e-commerce marketplaces and niche divisions, everything from tech to fashion. Built one of the largest cannabis platforms in the world. And one of the things we do really well is SEO. If you type in just the word tequila, which Chris, I think you'd agree is one of the most popular alcohol types out there currently, and we're appearing higher than Wikipedia, Total Wine, which is a multi-billion-dollar company. I think it's quite impressive.
That's super impressive to be competing with multi-billion dollar companies.
Yeah, no, exactly. So we just figured with the knowledge that we've built, why not share some of that wisdom? And we don't typically just do agency work. We look for actual partnerships. We're not interested in just taking fees and then for people to disappear or for us to stop providing the service. Life is short, and we believe the time that you put into something should be productive and beneficial to both parties involved.
That makes sense. I'm curious, given that, what do you look for in partners?
That's a great question, Chris. We're really out there looking for companies that, one, we believe in. One of the big companies that we started supporting a couple of years ago was something that obviously I would have never thought that I'd get involved in, but lashes, female lashes. So that's a big thing currently where people were paying money to go get it done. And Shelby and Leah, who we met out of Canada, amazing team. And they do a very healthy do it yourself kit for a fraction of the price delivered to your doorstep. So, one, we love the value that they're creating. They're bringing happiness to individuals and also the stickiness of the customer. So, a recurring, because it's really hard to obviously get customers to buy into your brand to come support it. So it's amazing to see when people come back month in and month out. That's just one example of something that caught our eye. Another one that we've done recently is called Live 3 Health. So LIV 3 Health. Chris saw me on a podcast just like this, picked up the phone, said, Sean, love what you do. Can you help us grow our weight supplement? So he believed in blocking fructose from entering blood cells is a way of bringing health to individuals. So I looped in my buddy who's a doctor. He says, wow, this is amazing. So we really look for brands that could benefit people at the end of the day.
Got it. It's interesting that you are looking at brands like in different verticals in different spaces. So it's like you're really looking for things that are helping people. Does it matter if they're in a specific space? Like it seems like you jump from lashes to supplements to tequila or spirits.
Yeah, we believe everything's in the wellness space. Tequila, which is a brand that was a passion project of mine. If you look, and again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not making any type of medical statements here or anything of that nature, but tequila is an upper. When people have it, it brings happiness. And we believe it's one of the healthier alcohols on the planet. We're not this kind of strict one way, one direction. We're very open minded. I had a journey where I'm not as much on the loss anymore because I've transitioned to putting on muscle and going in a little bit of a direction, but I've taken off over 60 pounds and living that lifestyle and understanding what it takes. I'm not just, sometimes I speak to people and they say, I don't understand what's so hard about somebody to lose weight, or why can they not control what they put in their body? And I've lived through all of that, so I understand what it takes and the motivation. And I grew up in a home that we didn't learn about healthy living and all of these things that I had to go on this journey on my own to get to where I am today. To you, it might look like tequila and a health supplement and largest alcohol platform in the world, we see it as all connected and bringing happiness to individuals and building communities and bringing like-minded individuals together. And that's what we're all about.
Got it. That makes sense. Now you frame it that way. I'm curious, what do you feel? I know you mentioned SEO has been a key, but what do you feel is the biggest key to scaling your partner brands?
So listen, the numbers need to make sense. At one point, if we had spoke maybe 5, 6 years ago, I would have said, hey, just grow the top line, grow the top line. But there's been this whole shift, especially after the pandemic, investments. That's why we've seen the really large companies in the world keep blowing up, is because they've proved out their success story. Out of 99% of people I meet, I say, oh, wow, cool business. You're making money? No, we're raising money to build our business, and there's hope at the end of the day. But every time people think that the profit is next week, next month, next year, pop on another 10 times that, So if you really think you're going to be profitable in the next month, say within the year, because everything that I've seen, it's extremely hard after all bills are paid and you take a little bit of money, that there's actual money left at the end of the day.
And I noticed that you have IPO'd. Is that correct?
Correct. We've been part of one Canadian IPO and one American IPO.
Wow, it's pretty impressive. Is there anything that you feel like would be important to share for brands or companies that are looking to go in that trajectory?
Listen, I think it's a great way to a path of being able to bring capital in the door. A lot of people in 2025 don't like to invest in private companies unless you're doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. It's a bit of a different story. But as a startup, it's very difficult to go to an investor and say, hey, I'm willing to give you 10% of the company, no personal guarantees, no guarantee. It doesn't really get people interested in investing. Once you have a public vehicle, obviously your numbers are fully disclosed. You've had an audit. Typically, you're a little bit more mature than just a startup out the door. And when people invest money, at least they get a share that they could publicly trade where, hey, you know what? You've put in $100,000 or $10,000 into a company, but at least you have the opportunity to even sell it at 50 cents on the dollar. At least you have a way to get your money out. If I write you, Chris, a private check for $10,000 and things don't go perfect, how do I ever get to see that 10,000 or 5,000 or even $2,000 back? So it gives people a little bit of a sense of security when you're actually publicly traded. It gives a market for them to trade on.
Got it. And when considering those things, if someone is considering an IPO, at what stage do you feel like, or what are some of the things they need to have in place to be ready for that?
One, they want to make sure they have a business model that could succeed. And that's an interesting story. Typically, when you're taking a company public, you want it to have unlimited opportunity, or at least you don't want something that, oh, the maximum it could do is like $200,000, $300,000 in business, and that'd be a huge success story. It's not big enough. You want to enter the alcohol industry, is a $1 trillion industry. It's an exciting industry. Everybody's connected to it. There's excitement around the space. There's innovation and new brands always coming up. I think that's a huge factor. And then obviously there's parameters around listing, and depending what listing exchange, the amount of shareholders you have in a company, the amount of capital you have. Currently, NASDAQ now has this requirement that if your company doesn't make at least 750,000 net profit a year, you need to actually raise $15 million. Before you go through this process of going public, you could be in for millions of dollars between legal fees, audits, and all of these different expenses that come up. And then you need to raise the $15 million at the end of the day. If you don't have all of that, then you're going a lot down the wrong path, no matter how good of an idea you think you have. So, there's big commitments. You got to make sure you educate yourself and make sure you're going in the right area.
Got it. That makes sense. Thanks for sharing. One kind of follow-up question on that. And for me, I think thinking about going in that direction where you have to be public about everything, open up your books and just make that public information, does that feel vulnerable for a business owner in those phases? Or is it just like, you hear the facts, these are the numbers, it is what it is?
I've always been one to want people to come and be part of what I'm building and for them to obviously benefit from it. So for me, it's always been a great way of being 100% transparent, sharing, being open. Obviously, you have a huge spotlight on yourself, so you need to be ready for that. And when companies really grow quickly, there's obviously people out there who don't want to see you succeed and who will try to create a negative on you, because once you're public, there's two ways to play you. There's the long way, which people are bullish on you, or the flip side, people short selling you, wanting to see you fail so that they could benefit as well. So both sides have a reason for what they do. And because of our world being so public, social media, etc., it's sometimes easy to persuade individuals based on certain facts to look at companies a certain way. So listen, every stage, there's different challenges. When you start a company, there's challenges. When you take it to the next step, there's growing pains, right? Same thing on the public scale. Bringing a company public is a challenge in itself. Do you succeed through the first year? After the first year, there's new obstacles that come up. It's not for the faint of heart, not for anyone with not thick skin, but it's a great journey once you're on it.
Yeah, it sounds like you gotta definitely be up for a little bit of a fight. I'm curious, how are you able to navigate? I'm sure that it's stress and the workload that comes along with all of that on top of your portfolio companies, on top of your fitness journey. How are you able to manage all of that lifestyle? What's been the key for you to remain fit and healthy throughout this process?
Yeah, that's a great question. Through my whole life, it's always been waking up and going for it. It's never, I can't tell you, Chris, any time in my whole life that I woke up and stayed in bed and looked at the ceiling and said, hey, I want to go back to sleep. Yeah, no matter how crazy it sounds, whether I've slept 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours in a night, when I open my eyes, I'm just ready to go. And that's always been the case. I've had it since I'm 14, going out, getting jobs. I see that with my 14-year-old son now. He's washing dishes on Friday nights after waking up 6 a.m. to go to wrestling, to then go to his baseball practice, to a whole day of school. It mirrors what I've done my whole life. And even today, waking up 4 a.m., our stock had traded about 10 million shares this morning. So I got a phone call from the investment bank speaking about that, to then driving my children to school, to then going for a personal training session from 9 to 10, then to a meeting at 10:30, then had 4 calls leading up to our interview here. And it's only 12:25, where most people wouldn't even do that in a day. And I still have another 10 hours in front of me. For me, it's open the eyes, jump out, conquer the day. And then as soon as my head hits the pillow at night, I'm out like a light, because it's literally giving 100% every second of every day.
That's awesome. I can relate on the sense that I wake up and I can't go back to sleep. So I'm like, just, all right, let's do it. You got to do it. Let's go. I'm looking at the time. I know we had 30 minutes scheduled. Do you have a hard stop? I have a couple more questions I would like to hit, but I definitely want to respect your time.
Yeah, maybe 2 more questions, and that'd be great.
Okay, cool. So I guess for you, in terms of what you're looking to do this year, because I know last year you mentioned, or there was an article that mentioned that you had done over 100% growth inside of your company. So what are the targets for next year?
Yeah, we've really been focusing on the profitability. So to scale a little bit back on our paid ads, but that's where I've highlighted to you like words like whiskey, vodka, and don't even take my word for it. If you're in the US, do those searches. Even AI now recommends us, which is pretty impressive. So that's a big thing for our focus. Influencers is another thing, key partnerships, but really with the momentum that we have in our own tequila brand. The beauty about your own brand, even though for every tequila that succeeds, 99% fail. And the nice thing about us, it's not our core focus immediately. And we've had the chance to go ahead and scale it out in Ontario now. We're moving literally thousands of bottles in the US. Every month we see our tequila numbers go up. So really for the end of this year and next, it's really focusing on growing our own in-house proprietary tequila brand called Swole Tequila.
That's awesome. And what do you think is going to be the secret sauce for getting the growth that you're looking for? Is it developing in-house team members? Is it leveraging tech and AI, or is it just doing more of what you guys already do really well?
First, I have to be honest, sometimes I try a product like my kids might like something and I take a sip of it and I think it's absolutely disgusting. And I say, how in the world is this even a billion-dollar company? And it doesn't even make sense to me how bad it tastes. The thing that got me so motivated with a fresh breath of air in our own tequila. Obviously, when you're making something, you think it's pretty good. Our label is really cool. You could peel the label and put it on hats and clothes, so it's really different. But over the last 6 months, I keep bringing the tequila out with me or giving it to individuals. And they literally sit there and finish the whole bottle, a whole bottle of tequila. And they're like, this is absolutely incredible. And then they call me the next day and they're like, Sean, I don't even understand how you developed this product. I just finished a whole bottle of tequila and I could literally go run a marathon today. I don't even have a hangover. And it's because of the pure ingredients that we use, none of the sugar additives or anything of that nature. So we've developed an incredible product that has essentially started selling itself, where people are taking sips and loving it. And that really got me motivated to go back in and really do a strong push now. And I believe the more people that try it, the more people will reorder and share with their friends, because that's our slogan, friends drinking with friends. So Chris gets a bottle. He hosts a dinner, says, you got to try this incredible tequila for $80 that I found. Everybody takes it. Wow, this is incredible. And that's where we feel that the momentum has come from this year. And that's really what we're going to keep working towards.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. I definitely want to wrap up here. Is there one piece of advice that you would give to any marketing upcoming agency owner, anyone that's trying to have a level of success that you've been able to have?
So I don't normally quote others, and it's embarrassing to say, but I haven't read other people's books. I feel like I'm so busy on a day-to-day creating my own story out there. But one thing that was shared with me the other day that I read, which the reason I want to highlight it is because the first time in a long time, it was an eye-opener for me. It's by Bezos, where he says you could go 3 or 4 years grinding it out with your head down and you feel like you're not getting ahead. But then it's the fifth year where all of a sudden things open up. And I find even though I've had this success, now I've been in this kind of phase for the last few years where I'm grinding it out. And yes, I'm successful each year when I look at the bottom line and look at everything, but it's not like that. Wow, incredible feeling of, wow, this is super successful for all the work that I've put in. And this is somebody who's 45 and who's had many success stories. That kind of really clicked with me. I guess timing works in mysterious ways. And here I am on your podcast, which I shared with you. I haven't done many over the last little bit. I really had my head down working on the businesses. So I think it's the perfect time to share something that really clicked for me.
Thank you for that. Thank you for taking
Yeah,
the
for
time
sure.
to chat today. Sean, it's been a pleasure. Looking forward to seeing all of your success with the Swole Tequila Company, everything else that you're working on.
Thanks, Chris. Best of luck to you. And make sure to send us your address so we could get you a bottle of Swall and
I
drink it
will
on the show.
once I'm back in the US, for sure I will.
Sounds good. Cheers.